Hi, this is Allan. I'm going to show you today how to make a really healthy, simple lasagna. Lasagna is normally associated with a high calorie, high carb Italian meal, but I'm going to show you how to make it with fewer calories and less carbs so that it's muscle building and actually a fat burning meal if you eat it. So first of all, we need to start with a few ingredients to go into an iron skillet or a deep frying pan. I've altered this recipe to include a few cheat ingredients. So first of all, we're going to put a can of easy fried onions into an iron skillet on medium heat. And these onions have just been fried in olive oil, and they're like 98% onions and 2% olive oil. So you don't actually need to use any more oil in your pan if you tip these in first. So we'll use a tin of onions. And instead of 2 cloves of garlic, you can actually buy something called very lazy garlic, which is already prepared for you. So we'll put that into the pan too. You also need to preheat your oven to 160 degrees, and all the ingredients for this recipe will be listed in the information box below. So if you don't want to use the ready fried onions, you could just use 2 onions and fry them in some olive oil, and I've put the 2 teaspoons of ready-made garlic in there now, so I'm just going to lightly fry these. So to that mixture I've added half a bell pepper, a red bell pepper, and half a green bell pepper, and it's up to you. You can use a yellow one. You can put celery in here if you want to. It's just good to eat different coloured vegetables. It's been proven many times that different coloured vegetables in your diet prevents cancer. So just give this a couple of minutes and just basically let the peppers sweat down a bit, because the onions and garlic are already cooked. And next you need to put in some minced beef, and it needs to be really low fat organic minced beef. I tend to use minced steak because it's a lot leaner, and you need 500 grams of that, and you just need to put it into the frying pan with the other vegetables. The minced beef is what's going to give you a protein hit in this recipe. You need to use your wooden spoon to mash down the minced beef so that it cooks evenly through, and just leave it to simmer for a couple of minutes. The minced beef doesn't have to be cooked all the way through because it's going to go into the oven for about 60 minutes anyway, so just let it simmer for a couple of minutes before you start adding the rest of your ingredients. Next you need to add in some passata. I'm using the crushed tomatoes variety, so I just tend to like vegetables a bit more chunky in my lasagna, but you can just use plain thin passata if you want to. So you need 300 ml of that, and you just put that into your minced beef and vegetable mixture now. So when the passata is all incorporated into the mixture, just let it simmer on the lowest heat possible for about 10 minutes. And add in a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, can't even say that, and a handful of fresh basil. I've just got this basil plant from Booth, so you can put just a handful of that in, chop it up, and then put it into the mixture. So now that the sauce is done, just set it aside. I did also put some salt and pepper in there to taste, just some ground black peppercorns. But just a tiny sprinkling of salt. What you need to do is you need to get 3 medium-sized sweet potatoes and slice them so that they're quite thinly sliced, and this is going to replace the pasta that's in this lasagna. Pasta is quite high GI, which means that when you eat it your body releases more insulin into your bloodstream, which is going to store fat, and with this being low GI, it means that there's less insulin being released into your body, so it's actually a good meal to eat. It's not going to store fat. I chose this dish. It's got to be big enough for about 2 people, and you need to put 1/3 of your sauce mixture into the base of the pan, and then start layering sweet potatoes over the top of that like you would do the pasta, and just go around until it's completely covered. Continue layering, but but finish on a layer of the sauce. So just layer your potatoes and your sauce up, but finish with sauce on top. What you need to do is when you finish layering up your lasagna, you need to pour over 500 ml of low-fat yogurt. This is probiotic and it's less than 2% fat. There's loads of research to say that probiotic yogurts help to burn fat and that you should have one every day. And then you just need to sprinkle over the top some low-fat cheese. This one's 30% less fat, and you're only using a small amount over the top. It's not like in a normal lasagna where you're putting layers and layers of cheese sauce in between. It's just one layer of yogurt and then the grated cheese sauce, and this goes into the oven at 160 degrees, 180 if it's not fan. What I'm going to do is cover it with foil and put it under another baking tray, because this casserole dish looks precariously full with the amount that I've put in it, so just in case it does bubble down the sides, and then I'll show you what it's like when it's finished. Okay, my lasagna's done, and what I did was I took it out. It cooked for about an hour and 10 minutes. What I did was I went through it with a knife and just checked that all the sweet potatoes were cooked all the way through. And I took it out of the oven after about an hour and 10 minutes, and then I just stuck it under the grill so that it browned up a bit more on top, because with wrapping it in foil it didn't exactly brown up the way I wanted it on top. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap it in foil again, and I'm going to leave it to stand for about an hour, because if you serve lasagna straight away it tends to be a mess, whereas if you let it stand for a bit it'll hold up and you'll get all the layers. So I'll show you a piece later when I've served it. I really hope you give this lasagna a go. Enjoy!